Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another Facebook Live. My name is Jade Alberts. I am a small business strategist, influencer, and my passion is helping small businesses grow and succeed. Sharing knowledge and stories is why I started the Telling It Like It Is Facebook Live. It is live. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments section. We will answer them. If you're watching this after the fact on a later social media platform, please feel free to ask the questions and they will be answered. Today's Telling It Like It Is guest is Amanda Hall, co-founder, CEO of Summit Nanotech. Amanda, thank you for joining me, and how are you today?
Jade, it's so good to see you again. It's been so long since we had coffee last, and I miss you.
I know we have such good discussions, and a lot of them isn't even about business, but they always tend to, at the last 3 or 4 minutes that we have together, we pound in our business discussion.
Totally focused and intense. Yes. You know what I remember most about you, Jade, is when I first met you at the Rainforest. It was your handshake, and it was such a warm, firm, strong handshake. And then when I looked at your website and noticed that you really value, or one of your brandings is handshake honesty.
Yeah.
And I just love that about you, about how you're embracing and endorsing the whole concept of that old-fashioned, simple, yet meaningful concept of the value of handshake honesty. And wouldn't it be awesome if we could all operate our businesses like that, just like trust and complete honesty?
Well, I mean, thank you for those kind words. And I've never had anybody compliment me on my handshake. So I guess I'm going to be self-conscious about it now when I meet people and just saying, oh, is that a good one?
I have small hands and they're always cold. So when I shake hands with someone who's warm, I love that handshake. It feels so good.
Oh my goodness. That is funny. Yes. And I mean, yeah, we did meet at I think a lunch without lunch. So that is, I think Derek introduced us, didn't he?
Fraser, yeah.
Derek Fraser, yes. So I know he's been on the show, and I'm so glad. I'm so glad he introduced us, because what you're doing is absolutely phenomenal, and I can't wait to actually get in and start talking about it.
Thank you.
So I'll give a brief little introduction about Amanda, and then we will start talking about Summit. So Amanda is a professional geophysicist with 11 years of experience in the oil and gas industry, 4 years in the mining industry, 4 years as a lab scientist. Amanda graduated from the University of Toronto with a Bachelor's of Science degree and major in biology and a minors in physics and English. After moving west, she attended the UFC to obtain a second Bachelor of Science degree in geophysics. While raising her 3 young daughters, Amanda is passionate about growing human-centric company, employee initiative, resourceful people who can feel responsible for rapidly changing that is needed in our industrial landscape using wisdom, technology, and adaptive solutions. So you obviously, I've talked a lot of energy people here in the last 3 weeks, and it's been a focus, and I've got one more next week. So with your background, in energy, but more nanotechnology, it's a topic that isn't discussed very often. Please explain to our listeners what that is.
Yes, so I get this question a lot because in the geophysics world, you're dealing with large scale physics. And so you're looking at the earth and watching how energy moves through it, or how magnetism or gravity or like those larger scale forces are impacting our planet. And so my transition into nanotechnology, which is incredibly small science, it seems like a little counterintuitive for most people to grasp. But what I can tell you is that physics is the same at the large scale as it is at the small scale. And so nanotechnology is, and by asking me this, you're making me look like a huge nerd on Facebook Live, but I'll answer you. Technology is, by definition, it's the science of manipulating matter. But when materials are looked at the nanoscale, the atoms and the molecules behave differently than they do at a tangible scale. And so what we can do is, by using external forces, we can control how the atoms and molecules arrange themselves or how they combine so that they perform specific functions. So nanomaterials are often called intelligent materials, but that's a misnomer. It's not true, because they don't actually think, a lot like my teenage daughter. What they do, they perform functions based on how we create them. So it's not that complicated. Like, my dad is a dentist, And he's been using nanomaterials in the resin for his fillings for 30 years. And no one even bats an eye at that. But the most common nanomaterial out there today is graphene. It's considered a super material, and all it is carbon rearranged. The molecules are rearranged in such a way so that it becomes this super material. So it's 10 times stronger than steel. It's flexible, it's transparent, it's conductive. I don't know if it can stop a bullet, but it could definitely stop a slap shot. Maybe not your slap shot, but shot. It would stop my slap shot. So super strong material. And it's starting to get incorporated into a lot of clothing and a lot of materials, and it's used, well, anyway, it's used all over the place. So it's a pretty common nanomaterial.
And that is interesting. I mean, I never even thought about it. You know, your analogy with your father and the dentist being using nanotechnology. It's probably because I just hate going to a dentist. I don't want to think about it. So I know you're focusing on green lithium Al1. Please explain what this is and why you are focusing on it.
Okay, so my mission is to get green, sustainably sourced lithium into the core of every lithium-ion battery on the planet. And the reason we need to do this is because the demand for lithium is going to skyrocket. In the next 2 years, the price of an electric vehicle will be competitive with the price of a combustion engine vehicle. And at that point, it won't make sense for people to buy combustion engine vehicles anymore, because there's thousands of moving pieces in a combustion engine vehicle, and in an electric vehicle, there's not. So imagine never having to get an oil change again. Like, that in itself is amazing. But so anyway, as a society, we're transitioning into that world of electric vehicles. There's going to be electric buses, electric planes, electric boats everywhere. There's already e-bikes and e-scooters on the streets in Calgary. It's really cool to see. But anyway, all of this technology, all of this electric technology, cell phones, laptops, they all have lithium in them. So the problem is that the way that lithium is mined today is not sustainable, and it won't be able to scale up and grow at the rate that we need lithium to be supplied to the planet. So it's a lot like oil and gas in the sense that the demand sometimes gets ahead of the supply. And that's what's happening with lithium right now. The demand curve is hugely exponentially growing. By 2025, it's expected that there will be 1.6 megatons of lithium needed for the planet per year. And we're only at 250 right now. So there has to be an exponential. So that's the problem, that mining practices need to be improved. New technology has to be adopted in order for these mining companies to be able to deliver the lithium that the world needs.
So I guess you're traveling around the world and talking about this, and are you seeing, I guess, any people governments butting heads saying you don't want to do this, or it's not, I want to keep doing it the way we're doing it, or what are you seeing out there?
That's a great question. So, and it's funny because in the oil and gas world, you often hear people, engineers, say, that's a really cool idea. I like that technology, but not in my well. They won't let you put it in their well. And plant managers are the exact same. So if you go into any plant, things are running smoothly, everything's good, everyone's in control, and then you come in and try to disrupt that with a new technology, they're like, hell no, not in my plant. But what's happening is that the governments down in South America in particular, which is where most lithium mining happens, the governments are the ones imposing regulatory changes on the operators, saying you no longer can use these large amounts of fresh water. You no longer can, so it's mostly water wars happening down there. Fresh water is a huge problem. Lithium's mined in a desert environment. You drill a well and you pump brine to surface, and then you extract the lithium from the brine. And the way it's done right now is it uses a lot of fresh water. And so that's the key differentiator to my technology. I invented a system that will extract the lithium from that water using no fresh water. Sorry, it sounds weird. I'm extracting lithium from salt water using no fresh water. So, and right now a lot of fresh water is used.
Well, that is interesting. And I just recently we were talking before you. I would like you just to share your Bloomberg story, and I know people we were talking and people can't read it because you have to pay a boatload of money. But I think it's just such a great story, and I'd love for you to share it and promote yourself a little bit here.
Oh, sure. So about a month ago, I got a call from Bloomberg, and they wanted to interview me. And I was super nervous, so I immediately called Mars out of Toronto, who's the incubator who's supporting me the most. And I talked to their media people. I was like, what do I do? What do I say? And they were like, just chill, answer their questions. Be careful not to give away too much of your technology because you have to protect your proprietary information. And then I just did it. Bloomberg called, I answered their questions, and then you just sit and you wait. And it's the waiting game because you never know what these guys are going to say about you as a company. And I have seen companies ripped to shreds by Lux or Bloomberg or Frost and Sullivan, the people who are reporting on the strength of your company. They judge you and then they publish it. Yeah. So anyway, the Bloomberg report came out last week, and I looked at the email, I saw it come in, and I couldn't open it. And I was like, I don't want to look. It's like when a text or an email from my ex-husband comes in, I don't want to look. So I have to I put it off and I wait until I'm in a better state of mind before I can open it. So anyway, eventually by the end of the day, I opened this Bloomberg email and I read the article, and I was shocked to see that my technology was ranked. My technology is based on nanofiltration, and there's a lot of different styles of lithium extraction out there globally. Yeah. But my technology was ranked #1, and it just blew my mind because I had no idea. I had no idea at all. So that is a huge credibility boost for our company. It infused this passion in our teams. The guys I have in the lab. I have an apartment down the street from the government lab where our prototype lives, and they are so inspired now just to keep going and keep pushing and keep trying. So it's just really exciting.
Goes to show you, words are still powerful, right? Yes. And that's such a good, kudos to you and your team. And I mean, that is such a great endorsement. So congratulations.
Thank you.
So I guess, we're developing into this new age of clean technologies. And as we discussed, you're traveling to South America and getting support from other countries. I kind of want to know, with the energy industry here in Calgary or Canada for that matter, are you seeing support from within?
Huge support. There's so much clean tech investing going on in this country. And the government support, and the provincial government and the federal government both are bolstering up. Clean tech is sometimes it's considered a bad word, especially in Calgary. I'm a bit like the bad guy because I'm not actually leaving the resource extraction industry. I'm just changing what I'm extracting. So yeah. It's sometimes okay, but sometimes not. But I was in Houston a couple of weeks ago, and they said, we don't say clean tech down here in Houston. We say energy, what's the word they used? Resiliency. Energy resiliency. So now any technology that is created to make energy better for the future is considered energy resiliency. And so that's a better way of looking at it, I think. It's really just semantics, but clean technology is really all about us trying to make our energy sector stronger in Canada and better for the future of all of us. So a lot of clean technologies are going straight into the oil and gas industry too, to make that whole energy system better. So that's interesting.
No, and that is good. And I mean, I believe they all have to work together for the long-term sustainability of the planet, which is great. And it's good to hear that you're getting great support here in Canada and throughout the world. I'm talking to Amanda Hall of Summit Nanotech. Their website is below on the top on the chat. Also, if you just want to click on the link in the comment section, it'll take you directly to her site. So I guess I have my next question is, are you going to be, outside of obviously the lithium, the green lithium, and that you want to put into there and pull out, are you going to be able to apply your technology into other energy resources or other energy sectors?
So nanotechnology is used, it's already used in oil extraction. And not a lot of people know this, but in order to get oil to flow better from underground to surface, researchers have developed at U of C this nanoparticle that you can put down a well to loosen up the oil from the sand and have it flow better. So in that sense, nanotechnology is entering the oil and gas sector. But what I want to focus on more is looking at the way nanoparticles can enhance the productivity of a battery. So lithium ion batteries right now, lithium goes back and forth between the cathode and the anode, and it gets used and then recharged and used and recharged. But if you can add nanoparticles to that process, either in the electrodes or in the electrolyte, then it's possible to enhance the properties so that it's faster charging or it keeps its charge longer. And so battery technology for renewable energy storage and for transportation is going to require more longevity. We need longer time periods that we can rely on these batteries so that we're not having to replace them all the time. I also want to get involved in battery recycling someday, because the end game, even though I want to help extract lithium better now, the end game is to not extract it all. Like, let's just recycle what we've got and keep things cleaner that way too.
Oh, that's such a great vision, especially the recycling side. I mean, not to take away anything from obviously, pulling it out of the ground, because it is needed. But I think that's such an important part of being able to reuse the stuff that we already have, especially if we can. And I mean, and my next question was going to be, what's next for Summit Nanotechnology? You've kind of answered that, but are you able to expand on that a little more? And I guess on the recycling side, is that something that you would look at heading up yourself, or would it be something that you would partner with somebody else?
Yeah, so I think I haven't even thought of that yet.
Neither did I till you brought it up.
Great, now I have something else to do, Jade. Thank you.
Oh, you got lots of time.
We're only a year old. We're really early stage. So we're trying to take our bench scale prototype from the lab to the field. Once we get there and validate that whole process, we're going to head back to the lab and start working on the recycling bit and work on those nanoparticles. So it's going to be a while yet, but getting to the field is actually our next step. So we're creating this demonstration unit. It's really adorable. We call it the baby unit, and it's going to go out on the back of a pickup truck to a field site where we can suck brine into it, and out the other side comes good lithium.
And that sounds so simple, right? Well, I mean, that is all. I mean, everything. I think we've known each other for just over a year now, and watching the steps that you've had to take, and even listening to you talk about the patenting of this and how that works. As I'm not overly familiar with that process. I've just been in awe, and I'm so amazed at what you've been able to do in such a short period of time, and I'm sure you hear it all the time, but I mean, you inspire so many of us, and you're such a role model. Even when I was putting out this post, there's people emailing me saying, "Oh, can I get the link? I need the link to listen to Amanda's talk." So that is, you should be so proud of that.
That's amazing. I don't understand exactly why people would want to do what I'm doing, because I am, like, every day is a disaster sometimes. Like, I'm figuring this out as I go. There's so much to learn, and it's so exciting. And my best operating technique is to ask for help. I ask for help constantly. I don't make decisions by myself ever. I touch base with my entire advisory board. What should I do? What shouldn't I do? What do I do now? What does this mean? I don't know what this acronym is either, so explain that too. So it's just such a huge learning curve. But I think being coachable is the key to success, because if you don't listen to the people who've been there and done that before, then you're stupid, because you have to learn from history, right? You have to learn
Absolutely.
from, yeah.
No, and I use that. That's one of the slogans I use when I'm talking to clients, or even if I'm on Startup Canada, helping out some of their startup companies and businesses. I say asking for help is not a sign of weakness. Mm-hmm. And the more you ask, the more you talk to people, the more you listen to people, the better off and the better leader that you'll be. I mean, there's so many people out there that are willing to help everybody, not only in the entrepreneurial community, the small business community, whatever it is. People are there to help, there to listen, and it's just a matter of reaching out there and asking for it.
It's so true. Yeah.
So that is, the last question I asked is, I guess we kind of discussed it, but if you were to have, let's say, one more piece of advice for a small business, I mean, you've gone through so many different processes, especially when it's dealing with governments and patents and countries around the world. What would that one piece of advice be?
So I could sit here and tell you about how you should follow your heart and lead a company with passion and be grateful every day, but I think I want to tell it like it is. The one thing that has surprised me the most this year has been that running a company is sometimes war. And you have to stand at the front of your company, put everyone else behind you, and protect your people and protect what you've built. And you have to be willing to take the blows and get up again and keep fighting. And that really surprised me, because I thought that if you're a good person doing a good thing, life would be fine. But some days it's war, and you have to be prepared to fight. So it is not for the faint of heart. Running a company is not for the faint of heart. You need to have the strength to stand up to anything that will stand in your way.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that analogy. Put yourself in the front and your employees behind you. I love that. That is so true. And as I've said, I said this the last few times, I've asked that question. I'm coming up to getting close to my 100th episode.
Wow.
I figured, I would get rid of that question probably by month 3. And I still have it because, incredible people like yourself come up with so many interesting things like that people will be able to share.
With those 100 points that you've collected. You should compile that into a book.
I know. That's actually a good idea. I think maybe next year when I go to the lake, maybe when I'm sitting on the beach, I'll just go through every single episode and put down what every single person said. That's a great idea. Thank you.
Do it. Sign me up.
I mean, it's such amazing. And again, I'd like to thank you so much for coming on, Amanda, sharing your story. I love what you're doing. And I know every time that we sit down and have a coffee, anything I can do to help you out, introductions, it doesn't matter what it is, and your story, and you're inspirational to a lot of people. So keep on being awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. That was a lot of fun.
I enjoy it. I know you said you were so nervous, and you're talking to hundreds of thousands of people in front of stages, and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to be on Facebook Live.
I was more nervous because my aunt's probably watching me.
You can't hide from family here, right?
Family finds you.
Exactly. Oh, again, thank you very much, Amanda. Have yourself a great day, and I look forward to, I hope everybody enjoys it. We'll be posting it here in a little bit. So take care, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, Jade. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.